Well, it took me a while, but I finally finished Baldur's Gate 3. Is it the best RPG of the decade? I wouldn't say so. But it is one of the damn best. It's up there. I personally think in terms of modern RPGs, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous might just be at the top, but it's close. It drops the ball a little bit in Act 3. There's a lot of railroading that the rest of the game doesn't have. It doesn't feel like there are as many options as, say, for example, a tabletop encounter would have. Saving certain people from an underwater prison, for example, the whole Iron Watch, that whole thing. Lae'zel, making her choose between, if you're romancing her, staying with you or going to save her people. From, Vlaakith. There are two dragons that Orpheus has. Why the fuck couldn't I go with her to liberate her people? Because Vlaakith's people are going to be chasing us for the rest of our lives now. It would have been so much better for me and her at the end of this to mount each one of Orpheus's dragons and fucking go. You know? And liberate her people. We're capable enough. We could have done that, but no. For drama's sake, we got this very contrived choice of stay with us and damn your people, or stay with me and damn your people, or go to your people and damn me. It's like, no, there's a better option there. Take me with you. You know what I mean? That would have been a really satisfying ending. You know, I ended up choosing Will, who at that point was the Blade of Avernus, to go with, what's her name? I want to say Kiara, but it's not. It's the Tiefling. Shit, I can't remember her name properly. That actually really annoys me, because she's a great character. It's not like I've forgotten her, just her name. Karlach. There we go. And they had this very doom ending. I'm glad it took me this long to beat it, because they have just added that extra ending very recently. Apparently, initially, she just died, and there was nothing that you could do about it. I actually think, options-wise, Karlach is the weakest character. She doesn't feel finished. Her quest is very disjointed. Unlike all the other companions, her quest is extremely disjointed, which I'm not a fan of. It feels like you have very little impact on her whatsoever, and in the end, initially, she just died, and that was it. She feels like more of a late addition than the non-origin characters, and as an origin character, that's really poor. Hopefully playing her as an origin character is better, but yeah, I think Karlach is the weakest of the companions in terms of options. I love her. She's a great companion. She has fantastic voice acting. As a character, I love her. But in terms of her story and everything, it feels incomplete. So, yeah. I'm hoping they do further updates to Karlach, because she does not feel complete at all. Will, I loved. Lae'zel is up there with some of my favorite video game companions of all time. I'm talking Garrus, Alistair, Morrigan. She is up there. She really is up there. She was so good. She had, without question, the best voice acting characterization I have ever heard from a video game. Her voice actor did a phenomenal job, and I want to hear more from her. Wow. Mind blown. She was the perfect Githyanki character. I love Lae'zel so much, and I adored her growth throughout the entire game. Astarion's fan base, I feel, are mainly just thirsty. He is a bitch. He just acts like a petulant child all the time, and it doesn't matter what sub-story he gives. I was laughing at the end of the game when he was basically running away from the sun. I was like, yeah, that's what you fucking deserve, you prick. Let's hope you don't become a blood-sucking parasite after that. Because he seemed to mellow. As the game went on, he seemed to mellow a little bit. So hopefully, we've instilled some form of heroism into him, and he'll become a valuable member of Baldur's Gate. But chances are he's just going to remain a selfish prick. I hope he gets dusted. to be honest. I was not a fan of Astarion. In fact, he's the character I like the least in terms of the companions. Halsin's great, but after Act 2, he just has very little impact. The same could be said for Lae'zel as well, but she's still great. Gale, I didn't give the slightest shit about until Act 3. However, he is a wizard, and wizards are kind of useless for the most part early game. It's late game that wizards shine, and I feel like that was the case in not just his class, but his character. By the end of the game, I actually grew to really like Gale, but up until the later parts of Act 3, I didn't give a flying fuck about Gale. Though he is better than Early Access. In Early Access, he just felt condescending when he talked to you, but there's a warmth in him later on. And I also like how moldable he is. Shadowheart was a character that I started off being very lukewarm towards. I wasn't quite sure what I thought about her. And early game, I still wasn't sure what I thought about her. She could be incredibly creepy when she started talking about her god Shah. She did sound like a religious fanatic. The kind of person that would stab you at the back at any moment, you know, if she felt like that's what the religion would do. And I mean literally. I don't just mean betraying you. I mean literally. But with the choices I made as it went on, she changed. She softened. She became... I think she's one of the best characters in the game at this point. Not quite on the same level as Lae'zel in terms of how much I like her. However, I think in terms of plot, she's up there with Lae'zel. Her, in fact, I'd probably say that Shadowheart is the best character in the game in terms of plot and how much of an impact that has and how satisfying that ends up being. Karlach, as I say, is very disjointed. Astarion, I feel most people will use him just because he's a rogue. His class takes precedence over his character. But Astarion has, like, his moment, and then that's it. Though he's definitely a character that has a lot going for him if you romance him. If you romance Astarion, from what I've seen online, he's a lot better. But I don't think I'll ever do that because I don't like him. But Shadowheart is definitely a character I want to romance in the future. Because I want to get more out of what's already there. There's something about her that still doesn't stick with me like it does with Lae'zel and Karlach and Will. God, I love Will. But I don't know what it is about her that my walls kind of go up with her. There's something about her even at the end of the game where I'm like, I don't entirely trust you. You rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. But she's a great character and she did grow on me quite a lot. Will I fucking loved. Will is up there with Lae'zel for me. He is another character, much like Shadowheart, who is relevant throughout the entire game. He is a great character if you're playing a good character. He feels relevant throughout the entire game, mainly Chapter 1 and 3. Not so much in 2. In 2, that's Shadowheart. But in for Gale, yeah, he's a great character. I love his personality. I love how they've taken a warlock and not just made them evil. Actually made them in a way a lot of tabletop players have made their warlocks. Really, really good character. It's nice to see a warlock character struggling with the same bullshit a lot of tabletop players need to struggle with. It's really cool. Maybe one day we'll get a player character with as much interaction with their patron as him. It would be nice in a video game, but we'll see one day. I'd like an old god patron to actually interact with us in some way and make life harder. That would actually be kind of neat roleplay wise. But yeah, I love Gale. So overall, I'd say Lae'zel is my favorite character, but I think overall the best written characters are Will, and the most impactful characters are Will, Shadowheart, and Lae'zel. I think they're the best three characters in the game. Shadowheart, in terms of what's there, not my favorite, but in terms of what's there, Shadowheart is the best character. Because she's relevant throughout pretty much the entire game. Less so Act 3, but she is relevant throughout the entire game. Will is relevant for the entire game. I'd put him a close second, and then Lae'zel. I think they're not only very good characters in terms of voice acting and, like, you know, impact in the game, and class-wise, all three of these are very good, very useful, and they're definitely the characters that I end up liking the most. Halsin is really good early on, but he falls off kind of after Act 2. He's not as interesting. I did like him early on, but he does become not as interesting. I do want to romance him at one point just to see if that adds more to him. Astarion is useful as a class, but as a character, I fucking hated him. But he is fun to hate. And he does have one or two funny lines, such as, "We're all a bunch of... Well, this group is full of weirdos." Like, yeah, and you're one of them. But they've done roguish characters better. They've done funny characters better. To me, he rubbed me the wrong way for the most part. He's not as bad as Zevran. I prefer him to Zevran, because at least he has more going for him than Zevran. So there's that, but I like him a hell of a lot more than Isabel as well. Fuck, I hate Isabel. So, I'm talking about Dragon Age characters there. So, yeah, I don't hate him, but he's the only character in the group I wanted to stab throughout the game, and he never really grew on me to the point where it's like I would find a hard time killing him. But I think next time I play, I will let him sacrifice people to become a vampire, like a full vampire. I think I'll do that on my evil playthrough, because it seems like the kind of thing she'd do. But overall, I fucking loved it. This is a fantastic game. I feel as if it will be better over time, because Lorien doesn't let bygones be bygones. They will improve this game over time. They already have. By the time I finished it, there were 2 patches, one of which was mostly bugs, and the second one added a few things, and there's another patch in the works where they're going to make a few additions and changes. Hopefully one of them in the future will be able to fully customize hirelings, so I can have Truthminer in the game, my first tabletop character, or Grimbold Frey. I could certainly do Grimbold Frey in terms of his, like, humanoid looks. He was a werewolf, so obviously not fully. But I'd love to do that shit. I'd love to have my hirelings, especially if you're doing an evil run, because you lose half your fucking team that way. My second playthrough is either going to be with my character Indecisive Jack, in order to get the Jack of all trades achievement, 1 level in each class, or I'm going to continue my my evil drow warlock character and just see what evil stuff that I can do in the game, and like how that's going to change things up, siding more with the absolute and whatnot, and just being a bitch. That'll be fun. I'm going to do one of them next, and I think after that, if I still feel like playing it, at that point I'll probably play an origin character, and I'll do it on Tactician. I think the most interesting character of the bunch might be Shadowheart or Will, in order to play as. So I'll probably choose one of them. Astarion might be interesting, and just in general, rogues are good classers to have all the time anyway, so it makes sense if you're playing one. Yeah, I think Astarion might be a good choice, because then I can have an interesting class, or a useful class, on top of removing his annoyance from the game, because then I can just play him how I want him to be. And dealing with his vampire master throughout the game, if it really does change that much, I might end up playing Astarion. Maybe I'll do it that way, instead of Shadowheart or Will. Yeah, I think I'll do it that way, and we'll see. Maybe I'll actually end up liking Astarion if I play him, rather than just having him as a companion. But it is a phenomenal game, and I think it's safe to say that it's my game of the year. And I hope that it will be, I hope it will gain Game of the Year as well. Because not only is it a fantastic game, but it is a fantastic game off the back of it being a fantastic game. There's no microtransactions, there's no anti-consumer bullshit, there's none of that. The developers in general, Lorien, I really like. I've played a fair amount of the Dragon, the Divinity series. My first was the Dragon Knight Saga. I loved Dragon Commander. That was a really unique game. Not usually the kind of game I play, but the dialogue was so fucking good. I like Lorien. Ironically, the game that really set them apart, I couldn't finish Divinity Original Sin or Original Sin 2. And the main reason for that is I found the leveling system very different from what I'm used to, and I couldn't really quite get into it, and I didn't really want to get into it because I found the basic combat to be really annoying. There was such a heavy focus on environmental, like, skullduggery that I got bored. I don't like playing mages. I don't like spellcasters. I like more martial. I like a bit of magic on the side. Hence why I played a ranger in this one. I like a little bit of magic just to help me out, but I don't want to rely on magic. I want to be martial, pretty much, with some utility. So I'll often build clerics like that, or I'll play rangers or something like that. That's what I want. So I don't like playing sorcerers. I don't like playing wizards. I don't like playing a character that is pure spells and can't really hold their own outside of that. I don't like being squishy, essentially. I don't like being a glass cannon. So that's what playing Divinity Original Sin felt like, because most of the game was built around fucking with the environment, which is essentially a spellcaster playstyle. You know, electrocuting water, setting the ground on fire with oil. Now, this is an option in this game, and is an option I used for hard fights. I'd bring barrels with me from the camp and set them up beforehand for hard fights. I did that once or twice for some particularly challenging fights. However, it was an option. In Original Sin and Original Sin 2, it was required, and I really didn't enjoy it. And that's why I never finished those games. The core combat I hated. But I enjoyed it in this one. It was easy enough on normal, with a few sections becoming difficult. So it was well enough balanced. You know, even playing as a class that isn't exactly amazing like a ranger. I really enjoyed it. There's a few tweaks I think they could make. There's a few improvements that I think they could make, and I'm really looking forward to, now that I finished it the first time, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the modding community can do beyond just, like, actually fixing a few things, like, making it so being a ranger and having a wolf next to me, or an imp as a warlock, doesn't cause every fucking NPC in the vicinity to constantly run away from me screaming in terror. I actually thought it was because I was playing as a Dragonborn at first. And on my second character, I thought it was because I was playing as a drow, but no, it's your pet. If you have a summon, be it an animal companion or an imp or an elemental, they'll just run screaming 24/7, and it's extremely frustrating at times. So by the third act, I ended up just, like, not running around with an animal and just summoning them when I was about to hit combat. And if I didn't see that coming, then I'd reload and do it that way. It was very frustrating. I got very sick of it quite quickly. As I said, Act 3 was a bit disjointed. It felt like I had the least freedom in the game in Act 3. It felt very railroady in comparison to the rest of the game. And I'll just be honest, running around a big-ass fucking city with very few warps in certain areas, pain in the ass. I would have preferred an older game system in which each of the districts was separated by a hub, because I like to clear out and see everything on the map. I like Fog of War because it shows me where I've been. That way, it makes it so it's less of a chance of me missing something. And that was such a bitch to do in that game. Baldur's Gate, when you get to Act 3 and you're in this big city the entire time, it was kind of annoying. Randomly running into Orin in the sewers, just fucking you up because she would randomly steal a team member. That was fucking annoying. So I actually reloaded a lot in Act 3 just to avoid certain triggers and certain things. And God, the amount of times I reloaded and tried to do things from different angles in order to save people in the underwater prison and deal with the Steel Watch. Pain in the ass. That felt so like I had no options. It made me hate Gortash the most. Gortash is the character I fucking hated by the end of the game. I felt quite the same. Apologies for the burp. I felt quite the same for him as Karlach did killing him. I was burning with rage, ready to kill that fucker. And what does this guy do? He sets a bunch of traps up in the fight. Oh, he's a bitch. Oh, fuck Gortash so much. He is such a bitch. I hated him so much. Also, the Emperor. The Emperor was laughable, man. Near the end of the game, it's like, I've never lied to you. Yes, you have, bitch. You've lied to me constantly throughout the entire game by lying by admission, by keeping important details from me. Basically, you were manipulating the shit out of me the entire time. All the while, constantly pushing me to be an Illithid. I never used the tadpoles. Because who the fuck would want more of them in your brain? I never used the tadpoles. I never went any further with that. All the while, it was like, you need them, you need them, you need them, you need them, you need them. And the only time you need them is right at the end for a MacGuffin kind of like thing. And even then, I don't care how much of a selfish prick. It's like, I am not becoming an Illithid. I've spent this entire game not... What the fuck? My mum and dad for supporting all my weird-ass decisions. That's hilarious. All my love to whoever that was. Sorry, that just stuck out to me. These are obviously messages from the devs. This is beautiful. I love this. Yeah, it's like the Emperor was fucking funny at the end. All that we've been through together. Bitch, I have been so standoffish with you the entire time. The only time I gave you any form of love whatsoever was when I gave you a hug back when when you were still a gnome because you look sad, because I'm just that kind of guy. But even then, I'm gonna pull that up right now. Let me pull that up for you. Screenshots, right. Let me get to that point. Let me show you that right now. You're probably gonna see some... Wait, where is it? I've taken so many screenshots. I'm avoiding certain things. You might see them. Yeah, that's the stuff I'm avoiding. I'm avoiding love scene stuff. Where is it? Here. I uploaded this ages ago. Taken the 15th of August, right? I'm still not convinced she's entirely on my side. I'm probably hugging an Illithid or some neutral god, but she needed a hug. Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I fucking did. Like, I called this ages ago. Oh, it's so obvious that they were an Illithid. And they were an Illithid. The funny thing about the Emperor is there's so much of an Illithid. They fell for that kind of annoying writing trait of a trope of intelligent characters. The Emperor was so intelligent and was aware of his intelligence to the point that he thought he was infallible. While at the same time, he still kept enough of his humanity to be a spiteful bitch. The Emperor is a bitch. Of course, anyone that calls themselves the Emperor, unironically, is probably a bitch. It's like this game's equivalent of anyone that calls themselves an alpha, unironically. Oh yeah, you're totally an alpha, dude. Fuck off. I can criticize this game in a few areas, but I loved it. I really did. There was no point in this game except one quest involving ghosts in a mansion that I hated. Like every single part of this, like so much of this experience was beautiful, was brilliant. I was in tears in so many scenes. Karlach brought me to tears so many fucking times. There was a scene in which I was looking at a sunset with Lae'zel, and she was telling me, like, she was doing this heartfelt, like, thing where she's telling me about, like, I helped her experience freedom for the first time. And it was just, again, so well voice acted, so well animated. It brought me to tears as well. Will, so many scenes with Will and Shadowheart. It was just, there were moments in this game that really touched my heart. I never did get to the point of crying, but I got pretty fucking close at times, and anything that can touch my emotions like that is special. I don't really think Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous did that for me, but I still enjoyed my time with that game a great deal, so yeah, I think it's phenomenal. And what's truly been brilliant about Baldur's Gate 3 is seeing so many people who played this game and who have never played a game like this before. Never played a game like this before. And I'll be straight up with you. I've never finished Baldur's Gate 1 or 2. I've tried so many times, but it's so archaic I can't get into it. My first Western RPG was Neverwinter Nights. That was my Baldur's Gate. A spiritual successor of Baldur's Gate. And I adore Neverwinter Nights so much. My Minsk was Deacon Scale Singer, or Slinger. The little kobold bard. That was my Minsk. And that's a character I'm going to bring up. Minsk, this is blasphemy, but Minsk is kind of overrated. He is very Purple Monkey Dishwasher. He is lol so random. He's very bland and very one note and very boring. And again, like Astarion, despite me not really liking him, he has some funny moments. But his entire character is, lol, I'm an idiot. Lol, giant miniature space hamster. Hehehe. The space hamster is actually really intelligent and is almost a god in some way. And he whispers to me and tells me things and I can understand him. But you can't understand him even though you have Speak with Animals activated. Hehehe. I'm such a whimsical, funny character. Hehehe. He's boring. This game is full of in-depth, deep characters, Jaheira being one of them, so even being an old character has no excuse. Minsk is just so basic and so just lol so random that he just doesn't have anything going for him. Jaheira was brilliant. I love Jaheira. She was this old, tired adventurer still trying to do the right thing, but her adherence to what is right has muddied a little bit because she's realized that sometimes in order to do the right thing, you need to do something that's not technically right. She appreciated me taking the piss and being jovial at times and taking the piss out of her for her age. She didn't like being coddled, which is great because that's my sense of humor. Jaheira was fantastic. She was fantastic. I really like Jaheira. I am aware of the other companion, the Drow. I don't know enough about her in order to comment. I've only got her in my evil run, and in the evil run, we've just hit the Underdark in Act 1. So, yeah. I have got a friend, however, that has been doing an evil run, and apparently she just kind of falls off after that. She's not very good. They didn't do much with her. She's a very Act 1 character, and after that, nothing, which is a shame. But we'll see. I do think, in terms of our play styles, I do a lot more than my friend does. Like, she is more directed, I'm more exploration. So I explored everything, where I think she was more likely to, focus on the main thing and not do quite side stuff. She's also the type of player to do things because they're funny. I'm the kind of player to do things because of roleplay or because I want to be I want to fill the character role. So this time I was heroic. So not only do I want to experience as much as possible, I want to be the good guy, which in this game actually makes things harder at times. Such as the whole Iron Watch thing. You could just run up and blow it up with a bomb. I chose to do the long route. So, yeah. But overall, Baldur's Gate 3 was truly phenomenal. Truly. And Lorien should be damn proud of themselves, and I really hope this is the Game of the Year. The recognized Game of the Year, because it fucking deserved it. A AAA game that was made with knowledge and passion when it came to the IP. Passion when it comes to the team. They thought of so much. Chapters 1 and 2 especially were truly fantastic. Felt really impactful. And Lorien is currently a developer, a company in which I respect, which I honestly can't think of any outside of full-on indie companies. Like, Lorien isn't an indie technically, they're a AA studio, right? They're one of the last remaining. And you think of all these IPs, such as the Elder Scrolls, for example, that you fucking love. They didn't start as AAA 90% of the time. They started as AA. AA is where indie passion and vision meets budget, right? AAA is where the exploitation happens and IPs go to die. That's the way it seems anyway. But Yeah, look at that. We watched the entire... Thank you for playing and supporting and sharing the love of classic RPGs. Yes, and it feels like we are in another classic RPG boon right now. There's been so many great ones coming out lately. Ooh, there's more. Right. I will cut the video here. Bye for now, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this. I loved this game so much.